Hello and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm Blank Gates. Today is actually really crazy. So you know how it is. I came out really long time ago. If you look at my history of live videos, uh, I've been talking about AI for a long time, doing AI for vibe coders, and I've made lots and lots of stuff. So if you're vibe coding an app, and if you are using, one of these IDEs, Cursor, Windsurf, Replit, Anti-Gravity, and I don't know what the other one is with Claude or with ChatGPT, I don't even know. Anyway, so then eventually you build something. Well, once you built it to the point that you're like, okay, I think I got something here. So I reached that point and then I uploaded it to GitHub. But then you hear about this thing called Jules, and you're like, Jules, what's Jules? So the thing is that I don't know, I didn't know what to expect. So I built this app using anti-gravity, and I thought it works. I mean, I can use it. It does everything I want it to do. And then I start hearing about Jules, that it can, like, in the background, it can work, it can figure out your code, it can find bugs, it can improve things, it can, like, and that's what I want. I wanted something that can just work in the background and figure out the things that I can't figure out, or make, whatever the problems were with I don't know. I just wanted to try it out. So in my last video, it was my first time trying it out. Since then, like, I used it a lot, and now I have a new workflow. So if you want to know how to use Jules, then this is the video for you, especially if you're a vibe coder. So it's all about prompting, right? Everything in life is about prompting. And if you're a religious person, I know that in my religion, we're always talking about, what are they called? Promptings. What is that? It's like we believe that God is like talking to you, like giving you some hint, like, hey, go and do that thing. And it's like, hey, I'm feeling like I should go and do that thing. Why? I feel like I'm getting a prompting. And then even, like, I started realizing that if you have like a to-do list, like a schedule for things you need to do today, it's basically you're prompting yourself. You're telling yourself what you need to do. And when it comes to AI tools, you have to tell the AI tool what you want it to do. And then the thing is, like, I'm kind of upset with this whole thing, because I think that the AI tool should give you some options. Like, okay, you tell it to do something. Then the AI tool says, well, based on my experience, when I get this prompt, here are the most common situations. And based on my experiences with you, it seems like you mean A, you want me to do this. For example, you want me to ask you some more questions so that we can work through exactly what you meant. B, this is what I think you meant. And then it lists the things that it thinks you meant. Or C, you're not really sure. You want me to create something, and then based on what I create, we can go from there. So I always felt like AI so far, it's not really intelligent to the point where it can, like, really help people to improve their prompts. You actually have to tell it. You have to say, like, hey, I want you to improve my prompt, and so this is what I'm thinking of creating for my prompt, and can you improve the prompt? And then I'll read it, and then I'll make changes if it needs changes. Fine. Okay, so then the key to prompting is to ask it to create the prompt. I heard somebody say that once. Now, fast forward. So I start using, the way that I use IDEs, like Anti-Gravity or Windsurf or Cursor. The way that I do it is I have two dueling pianos. I call them dueling pianos. So basically, the best prompt that you can use if you're trying to create a product requirements document, if you're building an app, you ask one AI, you tell it, like, basically what you want, what are the features, and then you get the output, and then you give it to the second AI, and you say, okay, so this is what I said. This is what I asked that AI to produce. This is what the AI produced. Okay, so what's missing? And then the second AI will tell you, like, what's missing. And it'll like, oh yeah, that he's only like 50% there. It's like missing all these things. And then you take that output, you put it back into the first one, and you say, okay, so here's the reply from the other AI. I think it's like, it seems like it found some things that you missed. And what's he missing? What else is missing? And then the second AI will be like, whoa, no, I'll tell you, there's like more things. He's only like 60% there. Actually, he missed all these things. And so it's dueling pianos. You go back and forth and back and forth. And then right when you think you squeezed all the juice out of the orange, then, like, you ask it, like, specifically. You could say, like, hey, can you tell me 20 things that are missing? And then now it's like, boom, boom, it'll list like 20 things that are missing. And then you pass it to the other one. You ask the other one, so what do you think about these 20 things? Are these, could you order them in, like, from importance, like from the most important to the least important? And then what are 20 more things that should be at the top importance? and then suddenly, so you just go back and forth, and what happens is, like, it'll think through all the different elements of your product requirements doc until the point where you have an extremely robust products requirement doc, and then you tell it like, hey, look, so I need to use this product requirements doc inside of an IDE, inside of windsurf, inside of anti-gravity, and so if I'm going to do that, like, how can we restructure this content, and then how are we going to deliver it to that to that IDE so that it can actually build what we're trying to build, and then it'll restructure it, and then you put it in the other AI and say, okay, so this is what I prompted the other gets the AI, and then this is the result, and then what's missing? What would you do differently? And you just keep going back and forth and back and forth, and that's what I did. So eventually, I got like a really really long, extremely actually doing anything. My connection is unstable. Please wait while we reconnect you. All right. So that's not the question for today. So then the thing is that, so what I did was I GitHub, and then I connected my GitHub to Jules because I figured, well, it's a different tool and probably it has some features. All right, so let's take a look at Jules. Now the question is, like, what is the best workflow for Jules? How can we use Jules the best? Well, let me show you. Now this is where I got to check the audio. Maybe all the things I said so far nobody can hear. I mean, it's never actually had a problem, but sometimes when I share the screen, it has a problem. So let's just see if it shares properly. Okay, good. It's shared properly. So everything's good. Let's do this. I just need to reduce the thing, and here we go. Okay, so let's do it. So what happens when you sign up with Jules? Down here, you can see I have some sessions. Okay, this session is paused, this one's paused, this one failed, this one completed 8 hours ago, this one completed, I don't know, whatever. So there's lots of things. Now there's this one called suggestions. And I already completed all the suggestions. But the a lot from the prompting. Okay, I don't know why the screen is showing what it's showing. I can't, the screen, okay. Let's take a look at number 2. So number 2 is, I just told you I have one and a number 2, like dueling pianos. I used to call them architect, and then I found different names for my Geminis over time. Number 2, it means out of the dueling piano, this is the number 2. Now, the thing is about number 1 and number 2 is if you follow my work and you know about calibration documents, and so what happens when you're using an IDE like anti-gravity, that sometimes you have to refresh your chat window. Same with Gemini. After you use it for a really long time, because the thing is that with Gemini, it doesn't have access to your code base. So a lot of the time you have to upload the code. Like inside of the IDE, it says, okay, so I read this document, I read this document, I read this document, and then this is the code I'm producing. And then, so after it finishes, after the AI writes the code inside of the IDE, then what I do is I copy what the IDE said, the work it did, I put it into number 2, and then it says that it changed this file and this file and this file, and then I copied the whole content of the file and put it in number 2. And so over time, number 2 is getting the update code, more and more lines of code. And at some point, it doesn't understand everything, but it has a pretty good idea of what's going on inside of our workflow. But the thing is that if you upload a lot of code, then eventually what happens is it's going to use up your context window. And once you use your 1 million token context window, like once you have like so many chats in your chat interface, then what happens is eventually it starts to hallucinate, it starts to get confused, it starts to get messed up. And when that happens, you have to calibrate a new window. And so what happens is number 2, I have to retire number 2. And so before number 2 dies, before he hits the end of his context window, What I prefer to do is I prefer to make number 2 the senior architect. And then it doesn't mean number 2, maybe number 1, but the thing is, like, the previous senior architect that I was using, so what happens is either number 1 or number 2, it's gonna start, like, one of them is gonna, like, start messing up first. And as soon as one starts messing up, then you immediately stop using that one. The one who's still working, that becomes your senior architect. You immediately create 2 new, uh, number 1 and number 2s, and then you go to your IDE and you say, okay, so one of my previous architects is now dead. We need to update the calibration documents with everything that's going on in our current code base. So I want you to read the previous calibration documents, and I want you to upload. I want you to improve them and update them based on what we're currently working on, the sprints that we're working on, the features that we've done. And so then when you have that updated calibration document, then you take the calibration document, you give it to your senior architect. You show them the calibration document. You tell them, look, I got this from the IDE, and we want to calibrate 2 new architects. We're going to call them number 1, number 2. And your job is to, well, so what's missing from this calibration document to make sure that the 2 new architects have the right fit, have firm footing to continue on with the project. All right. So you're eventually going to upload some documents and some code base, some of the ideas from your project. So you got number 1 and number 2, new number 1, number 2. Then what happens is it's like you immediately. So what you do next is like, okay, so then you ask your senior architect, okay, what's the next step? What are we developing next? What are we doing right now? And then you can also ask your IDE, okay, so what are we doing next? So you take those 2 prompts, you put it into your number 1 and your number 2 independently. And then you ask them, like, what are we going to do based on this plan, based on next steps? What do you think we should do? Then you take the output from each number 1, number 2, you put it back into your senior architect, and you ask, like, who did the better job out of these 2? What else is missing? And then it's going to tell you who did a better job. I don't usually ask who did a better job at the beginning. I usually just like, okay, so here's what number 1 said, here's what number 2 said. And then I ask the senior architect, like, what else is missing? And then it gives, like, what else is missing. I put what else is missing back into the number 1, number 2. And then I show them what's going on. And then, so there's kind of like this circular pattern until number 1, number 2 are basically working well. And then eventually, I take the output. So let's say that the IDE does some work, and then I paste the work into number 1, number 2, and then it tells me what I should do next. And then now I put the result from number 1, number 2 into the senior architect, and then I ask who has a better output, who did a better job. And it consistently said number 2 in this workflow. And so when I finished the app, I uploaded it to GitHub, and then now we're going to start using Jules. My original intention was to figure out, like, so how do I use Jules? How do I Jules, and who I'm going to use as my number 1, number 2, and number 3, number 4? Like, how do I do this? And then what do I do with my old code base? And then how do I in this process? So what eventually happened was I opened up a new Gemini window, and I told it that I'm going to be using Jules, and I want you to do some research. Try to understand how to properly prompt Jules so it can do that work. Now, I don't even know what this is. These are prompting strategies for Google Anti-Gravity. Okay. It's the very first post from my number 2. So the first thing I said was use this methodology, and then it replaced the next thing I did was I added here it is. So this is the project handout protocol. Calibration document. Mission, process, don't perform. Qubit Connect is a local AI knowledge distillation engine. Core function turns raw video text into actionable recipe for life checklist. Philosophy, capture, distill, execute. We do not, okay, blah, blah, blah. Architect, GDE. So this is the anti-gravity. This is one of the roles. The user, this me. For some reason, it thinks my name's James. The laws of Qubit. The core stack. So then this is the core stack. It's a Next.js 16 Tailwind CSS. Here's the state. Here's the single source of truth. Here's the note. Here's the persistence. So you can see here's the video. So it's a clean enterprise, background colors, accents, forbidden, dark mode. Okay, so it says forbidden dark mode, but we've changed that. The AI engine is Gemini, and then we're using so there's an AI component to the website. So you can see it's like it's going through all of the elements, and then it says, okay, I'm ready. Now I also did the same thing recently for Jules. So what I did was I opened up a separate Jewel instance, Gemini instance, and then I just told it like very directly. I said, hey, Jules not execute. Okay, so it's before this. I told it like, what are the best prompting strategies for Jules? And it came up with some kind of advice. Now, recently, look, it says give it the context for your decision. Ask for advice from anti-gravity. Anti-gravity to provide context for the reason behind the decisions. Tell anti-gravity to create or edit or delete code or change any files. It can only create prompts for Jules. So I don't know if I can show you. Yeah, I think I can. So it's called the Jules protocol. Now, the Jules protocol, let me just share with you the anti-gravity window. All right, so I just took code base and then I created a new window. No, it should be anti-gravity. Oh, good. All right then. So you can see here's the Jules protocol. Okay, so I'm using anti-gravity to prompt Jules to create the prompt. It's not actually creating any code, and so kind of like a workflow. So what you do is I have to do this. So you can see down here in the terminal, I have to do a get pull. You can see it here. Here's a get checkout, and then we have a get pull. So what it's doing is it's going to compare the code base with what's on GitHub, and then it's going to download whatever the differences are. So I have to do that after every pull request. All right, so here's the Jules protocol. Let's focus on this. All right, this document outlines the standard operating procedure for generating prompts, derivatives for the autonomous coding agent Jules. Rule definition, anti-gravity role, architect and logistics manager. Jules role, builder and coder. CRISP method, all prompts must adhere to these 5 pillars. Context, the map, explain why the file exists or the bug is happening. Example, the header TSX component is currently cut off and the scout button on the mobile device. Restriction, the guardrail, explicitly state that what not to do. Example, do not install new packages. Use existing Tailwind classes only. The goal, describe the end state. Example, the goal is to have the scout button aligned with the API key button. S, steps, chain of thought, force planning. Example, first analyze this. Second, identify layout classes. Third, apply fix. P, proof verification. Define success criteria. Example, verify the layout does not break on the iPhone SE viewport. Scope must include a scope restriction in the construction to prevent tool hallucination, confusing client persistence with the server cron jobs. Standard clauses, scope, client side only, tool lock, do not use render MC. Example, create cron job, create service, do not modify infrastructure. Yes, so sometimes you have problems with the render MCP. Focused TypeScript React code only. Direct format. When issuing a task to Jules, use the following template. To Jules, content, explain files are involved with the current state, objective, specific technical goal, constraint, example, use Tailwind v4, no new libraries, preserve, learn, create, engage text, step-by-step plan, the logic path that Jules must follow. What happened is, well, I'll show you 2 examples. Okay, so let's look at this example. The prompt you pasted, which seems to include refinements from number two or a previous iteration, is superior to my last draft because it includes dark mode support. My previous draft missed the dark utility classes. The version you pasted ensures recent history chips won't look broken when the user toggles to dark mode. Verdict: use the text you just pasted. It is the most robust version. Reasoning. Now, so the thing is that, like, we asked the anti-gravity um, to produce this prompt for Jules. All right, so you can see here it says Scout. The Scout features currently suffers from amnesia. If a user refreshes, their search terms are lost. We want to implement a recent history max 5 items that persists across session. Objective: implement Scout history persistence using the existing Zod index DB infrastructure and displayed in the Scout UI. Constraint: maximum items order. Uniqueness, persistent strategy, step-by-step plan. So here you got to update the schema, update the services, update the store, refactor UI, proof. All right, so this is the whole prompt. Now, I said, look, here's the response from anti-gravity. All right, so it is anti-gravity. So I just copied and pasted the exact same thing. No, that's actually not correct. This is actually the response from number two. So the text, I don't know why I wrote this is the response from anti-gravity. Anyways, so what I did was I just took this output, I put it directly into my number two, and then I asked number two, like, what do you think about this output? I can see that it stopped sharing. All right, this is um, YouTube a little while. These outside windows. All right, so okay, so basically, I just copied and pasted all of this text, and then I gave it to my number two, and then number two, it actually created a new prompt. So then I ask anti-gravity, so which one of these two prompts is actually superior? And in this case, anti-gravity said actually number two has a more superior prompt. Now, I think one of the reasons that sometimes your Google Gemini agent is going to have a better response than your anti-gravity. So the benefit of anti-gravity is that it can connect directly with your code base, but it has a limited context window. So what happens if you scroll up is that eventually, look at this. So if I scroll up, eventually what happens is you're going to hit the very top, right? Now, once you're at the top, then this is what I said to the Google Gemini agent. I called, hello, hello. Okay, so this thing, okay. This number two, good to have you back. I understand the pivot completely. You're moving from local simulation. Yeah, okay. But in this case, we have the whole context window. But sometimes what happens is it starts to cut off some of the top. It doesn't have the 1 million token context window like your Google Gemini agent. It has a limited context window, but it has access to your code base. Now, on the other hand, number two, it has like a 1 million token context window, and it has all the history from what we did over like the last couple of days, or maybe even more sometimes. And so between these two agents, what happens is we create a prompt for Jules. All right, so let's go through the whole workflow now. I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. So what we're going to do is the first thing I'm going to show you is we're going to go to Jules just to get figured out. All right, so the very last thing I did on Jules, you can see, let's just go to this one. All right, so let's start from the top. Okay, so to Jules. So this prompt it came from either number two or anti-gravity. So it says the Scout feature currently suffers from amnesia. If the user refreshes, their search terms are lost. We want to, anyways, you know this one because I just explained it to you. So then Jules, what's Jules doing? Jules is gonna see, look, it's gonna use an MP call to render, and then it's gonna do a create. It's gonna do now. The funny thing is, if you read this, it says, okay, discover 24 tools. Okay, whoopie doo dah. This one, it's like no workspace set. Okay, so it didn't even work. And then here it did the same thing. Suddenly it has like update this, do this, do this, do this. So what I usually do is I just open each of these, and then I'm going to copy all of that. I'm going to paste it into number two, and then I'm going to ask number two what he thinks. I paste it into anti-gravity separately, ask him what he thinks. They both said the plan's approved, so I clicked approve, and then it started working. And then it went through all these different things. At the very end, you have a PR, a poll. So the poll, this is what it looks like in your GitHub. So then it told me. So then what I did was I highlighted this pull request. I give it to number two, and I asked, "What is this what we were hoping for? Is this the output we wanted?" And it says, "Yes. Go ahead and finish your pull request." Now, after the pull request is done, then you have to go back to your anti-gravity. You have to do a git pull. So you have to pull in the new code back into your anti-gravity. And then let's go back to number two. All right, so here's number two. Now, the issue right now is actually, I'm not sure what's going on here. There we go. The issue is that I have a big problem right now because my app, when you put an API key into the app, it's connecting to Google Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. And when I've tested other models, it doesn't always work. And so what I want to do is I want to create like a little tester app. See, look, it says I don't want to add the Gemini model fallback until I write a program that can list all of the available models and then test them. So I'm gonna write a new piece of software, which basically it has some simple workflow, and then you can toggle between different Gemini models, and then you can see the output. So what I'll do is like I'll say like I'll have some kind of like I'll require it to create some kind of output, and then there'll be like an output box for all the Gemini models, and then so it'll use the same API key, and it will call on each of the models one by one, and then it'll produce the text, and then so you can see what's going on. You can see which ones are working, which ones are not working. So all right, so I don't want to do this. Okay, so let's do this later, and now let's do the next item on the list. Now, the thing is that it asked me to, yeah, so I did the merge and the pull. And then it says to do the git pull. I'm just going to do that git pull one more time over in anti-gravity because I don't remember if I did it or not. I think I did it. Okay, so I'm going to do pull, see what happens. And okay, it looks like I didn't do it because there's just like there's a bunch of stuff. Okay, what's the next item on the list? We are deferring the model lab. We killed the bugs, mobile header, the toasts. We added the memory scout. Next is the PDF export polish. You have a PDF button. You click it right now. It likely prints everything. Dark background, wasting ink, scout API key buttons. That's not true. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually just going to do this quickly. So I'm going to close the scout. Let's go into video mode. All right, so I'm going to drop the video. And then I'm going to drop in the transcript. And then I'm going to click start analysis. This is my Qubit Connect. This is the actual app that I'm trying to do marketing with. So, and then here, so this, it turns like an Instagram post into like a recipe. All right, so first you have to identify the target audience. What do you mean to identify a target audience? So you click this, and then it uses AI. It says first do this, then do this. Okay, I don't understand this. XAAI. How do I do that? Then you click deep dive. It gives you 4 more steps. All right, so I'm just gonna expand all of this for the first step. Why? Because when we go down here, we can see what the PDF is actually going to look like. So it takes a screenshot, and then all the text that you expand, it just gives it to you like this. So I want to know if it's going to bleed onto the next page. You see that? How it like maybe it could. So it doesn't actually show you what the PDF is going to look like, right? But if I share my whole screen, hold on, let me share my whole screen. All right. So I'm just going to expand this one as well so that we have 2 uh, items which are fully expanded. All right, now we're going to go up, we're going to push the PDF button. All right, so the first page is basically blank. Then the second page, you can see where it's bleeding a little bit onto the second page, and then you can see this one is bleeding onto the third page. You see that? And then how this one fits in here. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Put it on the desktop. And then the thing is that, how do I print? How do I get the window to download as a PDF Chrome? Open the page, Control P, Command P, open the print menu, saves PDF, Command P. All right, so I'm going to click Command P. It's in white mode. It's interesting. Command P, Chrome, window, download. So maybe this isn't the best example of, because it's going to take me a little bit of time to work through it. All right, so the thing is that I think it's going to take a little bit of time. The thing is that it's going to take a little bit of time for me to explain what's going on with the PDFs, because like right now I downloaded the PDF and also I downloaded the Chrome browser as a PDF. So if you read the names of these 2 files, then you're going to see the difference between downloading a PDF and downloading the Chrome browser as a PDF. And you'll see some of the formatting issues related to what the PDF currently looks like. So I want you to have this as like, just so you have a basic understanding of what's going on. But right now I want to, let's like, do we have other issues on the list besides this that we can do? Because I want to save this one for a little bit later. So put this one in the backlog. Yeah, the problem is that my phone's going to go off and then my dog's going to go crazy. All right, give me a second. Okay. All right, let's get to Jules. Okay, I reviewed the PDF. Your comparison. Chrome PDF is a screenshot. Whole window, ugly buttons. Yeah, okay, what's next? I've cleared the critical bug, mobile, toast, lost and found. Earlier you asked, why is there a not found page currently if the user mistypes URL on your live site? The qubit secret base, they see a generic, ugly Next.js error page that breaks the in. Live on render, you need a branded 405 page that guides them back to safety. Create a Yes. Okay. So prompt anti-gravity to create a prompt to be creative and think about asking people to join our what's it called? Our wait list for I'm gonna I just need to say this out loud. All right, so in the future, what we're actually going to do is we're going to turn this website into a waitlist, which means that we're just going to add one line of code. Like it's going to be a link, and it's going to be a link at the top of the page. So the link at the top of the page, it's going to lead people. Basically, it's going to say, look, if you like Qubit Connect Engine, then like the things that you learned, where you are basically how you are like clicking, you're getting a to-do list, so basically you're creating a recipe by like finding some information online which teaches you how to do something, and then you're going to use AI to break down that to-do list into smaller parts. So basically, like you can just have a to-do list that says first to do this, next to do this, third to do this, and then if you're having problems understanding like step one and you need to break that down into baby steps, then you can click Qubit. And then Qubit will give you like the 4 steps for how to do that one thing. And then so once you have 4 steps to do that first item on your to-do list, then if you still need help, like let's say that you need help on the third item of those sub items, then you can click deep dive, and then it gives you like baby steps. So the same thing that you learned by using our Qubit Connect engine, we also use that logic inside of our Qubit Connect to do. And Qubit Connect To Do, it's a new productivity app that's going to help you to think about the things that you need to get done in your life. And then when there's something that needs to get done, then you click the button called Qubit, and it takes that item and then it breaks it down into 4 steps. And then if you need help with one of those steps, then you click Qubit again, and then you click the step that you need help with. It takes that step, it brings it into a new row, and then it gives you the 4 steps to do that task. And so we're building it right now. And so if you want to be on the wait list, if you want to be somebody who is like an early person into like testing the first versions of this app, and if you want to be like, if you want updates about like my experience coding this, if you want special behind the scenes images or videos, then join the wait list, and I will keep you up to date on the progress, and I'll share with you what I'm doing as I build this app. And so the thing is that like eventually we need to build that page, the waitlist page. I mean, there could be some other features on that page, but for right now, we eventually have to build that page. So then when people are using the Qubit Connect engine, then there's going to be that eventually we're going to add a line at the top of the screen, which people can click, and then it's going to open up to that new window. So yeah, so basically right now, what I'm thinking is that when they get that 404 window, what we want it to say is like something like, hey, you reached the 404 window, one of the pages wrong, but if you'd like, you can go to either our join a waitlist page. So then you can have like 2 boxes. So one says you can either go to, okay, not 2 boxes, but you can have like, so you can have like something where you're going to add people can add their email. So our 404 page is actually the waitlist page. So it says, hey, look, you typed something wrong or something went wrong, but actually you're really lucky because not everybody is able to see this page. This is our special waitlist page, and you can enter your email here, and then you can explain the now. But the thing is that and then there'll be like another link that says, or you can go back to Qubit Connect Engine by clicking here. And so that's the thing is like our 404 page, we wanted to have some buttons on it. So either people can add their email to the waitlist, or if they want, it'll send them back to the engine page. Now, obviously, if they haven't entered in an API, then if they try to go back, it cannot send them there. So it'll bounce them back to the home page. All right, so I want you to prompt Anti-Gravity to go through like what that page should look like from a design perspective, and what those elements should look like, and what the logic behind the page should look like. And then we don't want Anti-Gravity to actually write the page. We just want it to clearly define what to do, and to go through our code base and decide what that page should look like, and then talk about exactly how that code should be designed based on how our code base is currently looks, how it feels, and things that it generally does. All right, so what I do here is, just want to make sure you can still see my screen. Oh, there I am. All right, so what I do in my work process is, as you can hear, that's my work process. So I come up with like a feature. Now, in this case, it's kind of a weird feature because I want actually, this would be normally a feature I would get Anti-Gravity to build. But the thing is that like, maybe we can test Jules to see what she does with this. Okay, this is a brilliant growth hack, turning a dead-end 404 error into a secret door waitlist. Exactly the kind of clever, unexpected UI that builds cult following. It perfectly fits with multitudes persona of your profile. The strategy, you're not just building an error page, we're building a landing page for Qubit to do. The hook, you didn't find the page, but you found the future. The pitch, explain the fractal to-do list concept, infinite breakdown. Action, email capture, waitlist, or return to the engine. I will instruct Anti-Gravity to sign. Okay, so now what I do is I'm going to take this original prompt. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say to Anti-Gravity, this is the prompt I gave Gemini number 2, and for you it is context. Now I'm going to paste that, and here is the reply from number 2. I go back here, I pick up the prompt from number 2. All right, so you should provide a prompt for Jules so that she can build that page. But you need to look deeply into our code base and provide the design. Take on the role of a senior designer and use creativity, but make sure the page looks like our brand. It doesn't to follow the dark or light mode, but use a gray color, and we can think about dark mode and light mode later. What is your understanding of the task and provide a prompt that I'll get number 2 to look at, and I'll ask number 2, what are 15 things which are missing? So before you finish your final draft of the prompt, you should ask yourself 15 things that are missing so that we have the best possible prompt for Jules, and so that Gemini number 2 will respond that nothing is missing. All right. So boop biddy bop boop. All right, take a look. So it's designing the 404 page. I'm taking on the senior designer role to the architect to the secret waitlist page. It will analyze the current UI, branding tokens, and draft a comprehensive blueprint that anticipates 15 plus potential gaps, responsiveness, accessibility, state management, etc. before generating the final Jules directive. All right, let's take a look at that task list. Analyze, edit, create the blueprint, created. Design blueprint for 401 page. So my question is, did it actually, okay, so it doesn't actually create a page. See, now it's called blueprint 404. Okay, anyways. All right. So I'm going to take this prompt and then come back here. So like, what grade would you give this prompt, and what else is missing? So then we pop that back into number 2. This is A-. You see that? So it's like, okay, structurally perfect. It has a tool lock. It has the constraints. It's missing the soul of your pitch. You gave me a very specific, compelling description of Qubit to do a fractal breakdown concept, taking on the task, breaking into 4, breaking those concepts into 4 more current prompt, condensed into 1 generic. Qubit to do breaks down action. Too boring. Missing fractal pitch, visual hook. Okay. Here is the reply from Gemini number 2. Let's get this page really creative and interactive. What else is missing? I do have a question. Like, does it actually go to like the core feature, which is like the button? Okay. No, okay, so I have a question. It's like, where are we going to save these emails? Can you have any email inputted go directly to my email at space dot between dot ideas at gmail.com? Is that my email address? Where's my email? Space dot. How do I know what my email address is? Hold on. Maybe the Reddit one will do it. Yeah, space dot. Where are the emails? Where are we going to save these emails? Can you have any email inputted go directly to my email? What else is missing? Oh, let's stop that. Here is the anti-gravity update. Now, the thing is, I don't know if Jules can handle this level of coding. So this is a real test because I don't know. I really have no idea what's going to happen. And obviously, we're not going to be able to see the result until the next video. Yes, you can. Short answer is no, not yet. But we can add it easily in the next step. Explanation: your static site doesn't have a brain server to process emails, send them. If we program just send, nothing would happen because the browser is not allowed to send emails directly to prevent spam. You need a postman. Build a beautiful UI. Task: do we sign up free service to? We get the unique ding ding. Tell them when clicked, send the data to that URL. Forwards it to your Gmail. And decision system console. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this. So we're going to go here. Okay, so which prompt is better? The one you created above or this one from Gemini Gemini number 2. Okay, so now I think we've gone far enough for what, like, can it create a feature? Can it do this feature? And here is generated. So what is the same? It includes the motion. Okay, use the text you just pasted. Okay, so it's the same. So did it make any updates? That means that we're there. All right, so then we're in Jules now. Now everything here is either completed or paused. All right, so then all we do is we go in here, we paste in our thing. I don't really say to Jules, I just put context. And then so what I want to do is I want to do interactive plan. Why? Because the thing is that when you do the interactive plan, what happens is, like, it does more thinking. It provides a plan. And after it provides the plan, you can copy and paste the plan and you can put it back into anti-gravity and number 2 to see what they think about this prompt. All right, so where did it go? All right, so you can either click it from here in the sessions or you can click it over here on the side of the screen. But we have started. So probably it's going to say something about, okay, so it's cloning the, yeah, it always connects to render. I don't know why, like it reads the tools, but here you go. So we have the prompt. says we are transforming a 404-page found to a secret waitlist for a future product called Qubit to do. This page is a secret level. It needs to feel mysterious, premium, and alive. Design and implement with high fidelity animations, clean enterprise aesthetics constraints, client side only. Do not use render MCP tools. Do not modify infrastructure. Use Framer. All right, so it created, look at this. Okay, so what it did was it created, so now the thing is like, this is the reply from Jules, but I need you to tell it to use our brand colors. And if it wants to be creative, the colors have to mix and accent our brand colors, font, text, and feel. Answer all other questions. All right, so then we're going to take this prompt. I'm going to go to number 2. This is the plan from Jules and my thoughts. I don't suppose thoughts anymore. Thoughts for anti-gravity. Here is anti-gravity reply. Provide final prompt for Jules. All right, so it might actually do more thinking, so I'm just going to paste all that in there. So it's either going to ask me for like more input, and in that case, I'm going to like take the dog out. It's time to go for a walk, or it's going to ask for more clarification. And if it asks for more clarification, then of course we're going to do that. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. All right, so check it out. So it created a plan. So now what I do is I just open this one up, open this one up, open this one up, open this one up. And then come on. No, I don't. Approved. Okay. There. Okay. So it's going to create the file. It's going to create a pull request. Once merged, you'll be able to visit any random URL and see the new 404 page in action. Once you merge to main, Render will deploy it, and your live site will have this hidden feature immediately. So there you go. I'm going to take the dog out for a run, and that's how you use Jules. Thanks for joining me here on Space for 10 Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. We'll catch you next time with the result. Bye.